Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be discussing what the hell is inside of this antique dollhouse. This dollhouse was found inside of an abandoned house. It's been sitting there for so long that it's grown moss. But once they bring it out into the sun and clean it off, it reveals itself to be a beautiful and very expensive piece of history. But one man was not expecting what he would find inside. This old house had clearly been abandoned for quite some time, because most of the items inside were either destroyed or covered with layers of dust. And let's be honest, who wants to dust anyways? It's such a drag. But one item caught the eye of the people who went through this house. It was this dollhouse, which appeared to be harmless and pretty enough to keep. So they took it home. The moment that they brought it into their home, their children were ecstatic because they could play with it as if it was a real house. But little did they know that this dollhouse was hiding something truly terrifying. As soon as the children started playing with the dollhouse, strange things began to happen. They heard footsteps, giggles, whispers, and they even saw shadows moving about. But before we jump into that part, let me tell you how incredible this dollhouse actually is. It was made in 1890, making it over 130 years old. The price tag on this beauty is a whopping $12,000. Now, that is really expensive. But it's also really cool to think about how much has changed since 1890. It's hard to imagine a time without phones or even electricity. But either way, this dollhouse is absolutely gorgeous. You can see the intricate details all throughout the walls, doors, windows, balconies, and especially on the roof. Back then, they didn't have spray paint, so every single square inch had to be painted by hand, which is why it took so long and was so expensive. There are 4 separate rooms inside of this house. There is a living room, a kitchen, a bedroom, and a bathroom. But obviously, these rooms aren't big enough for humans, but rather for dolls. There are also staircases leading up to each floor and a lovely balcony overlooking the garden. I'm sure that any little girl would love to have this dollhouse when she was younger. In fact, this dollhouse is so detailed that even the wallpaper has been drawn on by hand. That means that no 2 wallpaper designs are alike. There are also tiny little books on shelves, paintings on the walls, and rugs on the floors. These people put a lot of effort into creating these dollhouses back in the day. I'm sure that these dollhouses were created with the idea of a child pretending to live inside of a house like this. They would create miniature furniture and other items that would fit perfectly inside of the dollhouse. And then the kids could pretend to cook, clean, and live just like an adult in their very own little world. One thing that I found funny is that even back then, they had ads all throughout the dollhouse advertising different brands and products. In this case, it's for a brand of biscuits. How funny is that? There is even a tiny little oven where you could pretend to bake the biscuits. And speaking of the oven, the entire kitchen is absolutely immaculate. There are cupboards all along the wall and drawers stacked neatly on top of each other. And of course, you can open the cupboards and drawers, revealing even more space for you to store all of your kitchen utensils. In addition to that, there is also a tiny little table and chairs where you could pretend to eat with your friends. There is a sink with a faucet that you could turn on and off, as well as a stove with knobs that you could rotate. Not to mention the countertops are also very detailed and realistic. We haven't even talked about the living room yet. In the living room, there is a beautiful fireplace with a mantle above it. You can light the fireplace with a match, and it will burn just like a real fire. And as I said before, the wallpaper was designed specifically for this room. Not only that, but there are also curtains that you can draw across the window. The best part about this room is the furniture. There is a sofa, an armchair, a coffee table, and even a TV. The attention to detail is really something else. Look at the patterns on the sofa and the pillows. And let's not forget about the second floor. Going upstairs, you will find another living room with a bit of a different style. There is a sofa, a rocking chair, and a table with a lamp on it. Once again, the wallpaper was hand-drawn. And if we go to the far wall, we can open up a door to reveal a beautiful view of the city. They really thought of everything when building this dollhouse. Even the sconce on the wall looks so realistic. But this tour wouldn't be complete without showing you the bedroom. The bedroom contains a bed with a headboard, a knitstand with a lamp, a dresser with a mirror, and even a wardrobe. The curtains can be drawn, and there is a beautiful view of the garden outside. Honestly, I am amazed by how much work and dedication went into creating this dollhouse. Every single room is absolutely perfect. And now that we have given you a full tour, we can finally talk about the scary part. Let's face it, dollhouses are creepy on their own. Just think about it. They look like real houses, but instead of people living inside, they have dolls. And if the dolls start moving, well, that's definitely a horror movie waiting to happen. And that is exactly what happened to this family. After bringing the dollhouse into their home, they heard footsteps, giggles, and whispers coming from the dollhouse. At first, they thought that it was just their imagination, but then they started seeing shadows moving around inside of the dollhouse. I don't know about you, but if I saw shadows moving inside of a dollhouse, I would run away screaming. But they decided to investigate. When they opened up the dollhouse to take a look inside, they noticed that the furniture was moving. They tried to ignore it, but then the giggling got louder and the footsteps became more frequent. Finally, they decided to do something about it. They took the dollhouse apart piece by piece, but no matter what, the noises continued. They even ripped the wallpaper off the walls and removed the books from the shelves, but nothing seemed to stop the giggling. At this point, they were desperate to find out what was making all of the noise. So they decided to record what was happening inside of the dollhouse. They placed a camera inside to get footage of whatever was happening. And then they left the house for the day. When they came back, the footage revealed something shocking. They had never expected to see what they were about to witness with their own eyes. On the screen, they saw a tiny figure moving around inside of the dollhouse. It looked like a small child dressed in old-fashioned clothing. It was moving around the furniture as if it were a real house. Then it started to walk towards the camera. By this point, they were too scared to continue recording. They quickly turned off the camera and ran out of the house. They never went back to retrieve the footage. After hearing the story, I'm not sure if I believe it or not. If it is true, then that would mean that there are ghosts living inside of this dollhouse. But if it's not true, then how are the objects moving around by themselves? I'm really curious to know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. Now, after hearing this story, I'm not sure if I want a dollhouse or not. I mean, I think they're kind of creepy on their own, but if they also have ghosts inside of them, then I'm definitely not interested. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit that like button for more content. I'll see you guys in the next one.